Hey guys, Crypto Dad here again. Thanks for joining me on the Saturday night live stream, live from Michigan, where you can throw out questions and I'll do my best to get them answered. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about the news, we'll talk about altcoins. I'm going to move some crypto around for you guys, and I'll do my very best to get to your questions and see if we can't troubleshoot any of your wallet or transfer issues live. So I'm here again with the rig. I just got back from vacation the day before yesterday. We got back a day early. We went to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and toured the battlefield. That was my second time. I found it very breathtaking my first time, and it was just as good the second time. We were kind of hanging out in downtown Gettysburg. They've got a lot of cool shops and pubs and grills and stuff like that. There was one particular restaurant that we really wanted to go to called the Gettysburger Company, and we're just like, oh man, we got to have a Gettysburger. But we were there. We got there on the 4th and we didn't go. And then, I'm sorry, we got there on the 3rd and didn't go. And then on the 4th, a lot of places were closed, including the Gettysburger Company. So we missed out on that one. And I was just thinking, I think it was last week, I was talking about the how the battle started. And I think I said AP Hill's division came in from the west. It was actually Heath. Yeah, Heath's division came in from the west and discovered that Buford's cavalry had taken up a position. Quite an interesting town. The last time that I went, I had toured like the Cemetery Ridge area of the battlefield on the northern side and then over on the southern side, but I had not gone over to the northwest part of town where the battle actually started, and there were quite a few monuments and stuff there too. So it was really cool. We had a great time. We drove over like 1,400 miles, and we had a wonderful time for our 4th of July. So I hope everybody out there had a good time. I hope everybody can hear me. I hate it when I'm like rambling on and then I look over and everybody's like, no sound. But I think we're good today. So I'm back, happy to be back, getting everything in order with all my stuff. Let's go over here to the other screen and greet all of you wonderful people. And it looks like I'm, yeah, this always happens when I mess around with my monitors, turning them on and off. But this is it. Yay, we got the right screen here. And yeah, so I wanted to thank Kenny, as usual, for throwing me up a bunch of news stories during the week. I appreciate it. Used a couple of them. We probably won't spend too much time on the news. I want to focus on some scams. There's a news article I have about a Coinbase scam. So I always want to kind of give you guys heads up about that. And also, there was a phishing scam with Arculus wallet that I got an email from one of the scammers, and but it reminded me that I had one of these, and it was like a faux email that tried to trick you into, I'm assuming, reveal your seed phrase is usually what they are. But anyway, thank you, Kenny. Mr. David, I don't know how you remove that heart. Oh, I see there's a heart down there. It's like a bunch of them. I'm assuming that's for me to click to say if I like something or not, because it kind of pops up. I don't know that there's any way to get rid of it. Nah. Andreas Ebert, thank you for being here. Have a nice evening yourself. Joseph Tarbuck Jr. Yes, I had a great holiday. Thank you for asking. P. Wizzle, thank you for being here and valuing my insights and thoughts about crypto. Amsterdam, Holland, here again. Mr. Miskey, below average investor, greetings to you. Kai Desur, I probably mangled that beyond recognition, but thank you for being here. Marco PT, I hope I can visit Gettysburg at some point in the future. It's a great place. There were so many uh, records held. I mean, grim records like the most people killed in one day. No, that actually Cold Harbor holds that, but the biggest amount of casualties and deaths in one battle, which lasted 3 days. The biggest amount of artillery, of the largest artillery barrage on the Western Hemisphere. And when you think about it, most of the big battles of the world occurred, over in Europe and Asia. And so there weren't that many large wars that got fought over in the U.S. on our side of the world. So the Civil War really holds a bunch of records as far as being on this side of the globe. So yeah, it's pretty amazing place. And let's see here. I miss those days with Terra Luna and moving things around on osmosis, then swap it for UST, and then staking it for 20% on the stable coins. Yes, I miss those hefty gains from those staking platforms. Luna, and I can't remember the name of the one, but it was like giving you 20% on US Tether, US stablecoin, UST, which was the Terra Luna stablecoin, and they were just paying you just crazy returns on it. Well, it was an algorithmic stablecoin, and I guess it got ahead of itself. And that's things are, if they're too good to be true, they probably aren't. Can you, Dior, Sphinx Labs, own layer 1-2 blockchain, soon DeFi? Sphinx Labs. I'm going to go into my Sphinxter. I'll check it out and see. I'm not familiar with it. So we'll get to all that. Mustafa Lam is here. And so everyone, thank you. If you've never been in my live stream before, I've got a little description of what we'll talk about tonight. Some stuff we'll probably do, and some ways to get a hold of me. You can shoot me an email if you want. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I've got links to all the news stories we're going to be covering tonight, and some affiliate links down here below. Ifani, Engrave, Combo, and Engrave Zero, Legend NOx, Trezor Model T. Those are my favorites, and then a couple of cryptocurrency exchanges that I use on a regular basis. And I was speaking with Paul Wiener. I don't know if he's here tonight. We were talking about protecting it against SIM swapping attacks, and he wanted to know if he could protect his phone with a YubiKey phone-based two-factor hardware. And YubiKey does have a new item, which I think is pretty cool, which I don't even have, but they have this new device that it looks like it's got a USB-C connector, and then it also can, I guess it's Bluetooth or whatever it is, it can interface with your phone, because I don't think, well, I guess Android phones have USB-C connectors on the bottom. Yeah, I'm not sure about this, but it looks, but supposedly it works with your phone and your desktop, which is pretty cool. So maybe I'll have to buy one of these, because the last time I did a YubiKey video, it was either or, right? You could either use there was one that worked with the phone, and then there was one that worked with a desktop. Actually, the one that I don't know if I have it around here. I'm not going to look for it right now, but yeah. Yeah, it had like a lightning connector on one side, so it actually went into your iPhone, which was pretty cool. But this whole thing about phone security, I have the Ifani link down there that protects against SIM swaps. And it's a service. You migrate your phone service over to them, and then they lock down your account so that even if someone were to try to call Verizon or AT&T and try to give them a sob story, or there was a corrupt employee, or a gang member is actually working there. Even with their access, they wouldn't be able to do a SIM swap attack on your phone, because if Fani would have it all locked down. Now, but that's an extreme case for super security, and I don't want to scare everybody with that, because SIM swaps are a reality that you need to protect against. But a reasonable amount of security against a SIM swap attack is you just need to make sure you have a PIN code set on your wireless account, whatever it is. If it's Verizon, if it's AT&T, if it's T-Mobile or whatever, just contact them, call 411 on your phone or whatever and talk to their tech support and tell them you want to set a PIN. I don't know if you have to do that in person or whatever, and that protects against most of the SIM swap attacks where they try to take over your phone account. So yeah, Ifani is great, and I would highly recommend it, but I don't want you to feel like you're walking on eggshells about SIM swap attacks. They are fairly common, but the easiest way to protect against them is to just have a PIN set on your phone account. So just wanted to say that. But yeah, I mean, two-factor authentication, hardware two-factor authentication is great, but I don't use my YubiKey for all of my two-factor accounts. Most of my two-factor accounts are, I use Google Authenticator on my phone. And then in that case, the phone is the hardware that you use to protect against. That's your second factor of authorization. And we're going to talk a little more about two-factor and scams with one of the news stories, if I would ever get to the news. Okay, so okay, so I don't see Dan or JDO here yet. But last week I said they weren't here, and all of a sudden they woke up and said, "Hey, I'm here." So, but we'll have some moderators. Hello, Barbara. It's good to have you here. Bushiman Bush Busy Match Club. It's good to have you here. Let's see where we at. So our first story is the big story that everyone's talking about. I don't know that Bitcoin established another yearly high the day this story came out. I'm pretty sure that it shot up past 31 again, but I think the yearly high that we set a couple weeks back was 31,300. I don't know if Bitcoin broke that when this story broke, but it's quite a big story. A very respected personality in big business and finance. I mean, come on, the BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said Bitcoin could revolutionize finance. And what's interesting about this story is that he was a noted Bitcoin critic not too long ago. So pretty interesting. Oh, Dan is here. Okay. Yay. Thanks, Dan. Nice to have you. We do believe that if we can create more tokenization of assets and securities, that's what Bitcoin is. It could revolutionize finance, he said. Previously known to be a skeptic of crypto, Fink years ago suggested of the asset class heavily used it for illicit activities, which I think I talked about that last week or the week before, how, the attack on Bitcoin has evolved. First it was they ignored it, then they ridiculed it, and then they disparaged it. And Fink was there during the disparagement phase, where all the guys, the big respected people, were criticizing Bitcoin and saying it was only used by criminals. And I think we've gotten past that now. I think the vast majority of people that are holding Bitcoin are not using it for illicit purposes anymore. Percentage-wise, I saw a little snippet a story somewhere that has said that the percentage of Bitcoin transactions that are supposedly used for illicit transactions is way down from where it was back in 2016 because there's so much choice now. Fink continued, instead of investing in gold as a hedge against inflation, a hedge against the onerous problems of any one country, or the devaluation of your currency, whatever country you're in, let's be clear. Bitcoin is an international asset. It's not based on any one currency, and so it can represent an asset that people can play as an alternative. The iShares unit of BlackRock filed paperwork with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, on June 16th for a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. While BlackRock has an almost perfect track record of getting ETFs approved by the SEC, Fink couldn't say when a decision for its Bitcoin ETF could be expected. I know it's not, it doesn't happen quickly. I think once they get filed, they get to a point where they get submitted or something, and then the SEC has 90 days to either approve, reject, or extend the deliberation period. And, so it could go on for a year, it could go on for several months, or it could happen sooner. We don't know. It's BlackRock. Anything could happen. And let's move on to the next story here. Of course, with all of the hype around BlackRock's ETF and Larry Fink's sudden epiphany regarding Bitcoin, somebody had to throw some cold water on the market, and it had to be JP Morgan, right? ETF approval may boost Bitcoin's liquidity, but it won't be a game changer, according to JP Morgan, right? Spot Bitcoin ETFs have been available in Canada and Europe without drawing large investor interest. A possible approval of a spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund won't be a game changer for crypto markets, although it might benefit the leading cryptocurrency, according to a report by JP Morgan Managing Director Nicholas Panzagurtlo. I know I mangled that one. Based in London, he is part of JP Morgan's global market strategy team. He believes that a Bitcoin ETF in the United States would have a similar impact as those seen in Canada and Europe, where spot Bitcoin ETFs have been around for some time. And that's true, they have. But the U.S. is like the market, really. And that's where, most of the stocks are traded, just, it's big, right? It's the epicenter of finance. So for an exchange-traded fund to be freely available in U.S. markets, I believe would be a game changer. Trying to compare the U.S. market to Canada and Europe is a little disingenuous, if you ask me. Of course, he is like stuck over there in London, kind of not at the epicenter of finance himself. So maybe it's a case of sour grapes, right? Let's see. Bitcoin ETFs have attracted little investor interest, failing to benefit from investor outflows from gold ETFs. The strategist also sees the benefits of a Bitcoin fund receiving the green light in America. According, an approval could bring more liquidity to Bitcoin markets, but could also lead to a migration of trading activity from BTC futures products. Let me see. I guess okay, here's the, I didn't link this story, but this was more of an opinion story, which I thought was added some pretty good value to the argument down here. Even as JP Morgan tries to influence markets against any activity that might promote interest or further buying into Bitcoin products, they must surely see the writing is on the wall. CEO Jamie Dimon is still making his pet rock references to Bitcoin, but as influential as he might be in financial circles, this kind of ridiculous name calling is starting to become an embarrassment for him. Right? So we're past the disparagement stage, guys. You know, wake up and smell the coffee. JP Morgan is, after all, an institution that is there to make money, and staying out of such a potentially game-changing asset as Bitcoin could be financial suicide. Granted, there is probably a lot of pressure to follow this line by the Biden administration, perhaps with promises of more tasty regional banks being thrown at JP Morgan when they fail, to be gobbled up with relish. But how long can it stay out of what can become an alternative asset that can potentially be worth trillions, right? So enough with the FUD and the Bitcoin bashing JP Morgan. BlackRock's on board. About time for you to get on board, right? That was a pretty cool little opinion. And I'll go ahead and link this story in the description down below in case you would like to read that story. I'll just put it under here. Like there'll be two stories related to that JP Morgan story. All right. And then I like this little story here. Kenny sent this one over for me. I like it. America in many ways is Bitcoin. Close to 250 years ago, the founding fathers of America created a new nation, one where everyone was created equal, a nation where people could pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness without oppression, without government intervention, and without fear of persecution. This is the image they had in their heads for America, and now, over 2 centuries later, that image is being enhanced through assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others. It's kind of a idealized version of the American system. I don't know that it actually lives up to all of those principles, but hey, I'll take it, right? The big thing about digital currencies is that they are designed to improve upon financial autonomy and freedom. Right now, the standard financial industry has too much to say in what people can and cannot do with their money. I totally agree with that. If you were to go to a bank, for example, and try to get your hands on a checking or a savings account, there's a good chance you'd be subjected to a background check. Those in charge at the bank will want to know what kind of jobs you've held, if you've ever gone bankrupt or defaulted on a loan, etc. I seem to remember speaking with someone years ago that was unable to open a bank account because he had a criminal record. So all kinds of things in your past could screw you up with opening bank accounts. I don't remember. I think I seem to remember happening to me. I got a student loan and I deposited it in the bank, and then they contacted me and said, "I'm sorry, we can't open an account for you because something I had done in my past with another bank. I forget what it was. I don't know if it was I screwed a credit card or whatever it was. But anyway, I forget what the name of the bank was, but they were like, And I had to go back. I had to wait like several days for that student loan check to clear. And then I had to go back and get the money out and take it somewhere else. I forgot. That's been a while. My sordid past, right? So yeah, banks can be very restrictive based on your history, whatever your history may be, sometimes through no fault of your own. If there's anything in your personal history, financial or otherwise, that these executives don't like, there's a good chance you won't gain access to the institution's services and tools, many of which will be necessary for your survival and for the care of your family and others close to you. So we're dealing with high stakes here, and the financial powers that be sort of hold your lifeline in their hands, right? Because it's hard to get by in this world without a bank account. That's what we keep hearing about the unbanked all over the world are people that are on the margins of society because they can't get access to banking tools, So they have to deal in cash everywhere they go. With crypto, however, none of this is ever considered, much less thrown into the mix. With crypto, if you have a digital wallet and an internet connection, you're already off to a great start. And most people can do that simply with a phone, right? You don't have to have a desktop or a laptop to, be in crypto. The base requirement is a wallet and an internet connection, and most phones have those these days. These items will be all you need to begin trading, buying, selling, and investing in crypto assets. It's that simple, and nobody's going to look at your personal history or anything like that. You won't be told what you can do with your assets, and your finances will be fully in your control. Unless the Biden administration has anything to say about it, right? They're talking about regulating personal wallets and all this other crazy stuff, right? So Bitcoin started in 2009. The ideals behind it are the same. America and Bitcoin both stand for freedom, and these ideals need to be taken to heart. Right, so that's a pretty feel-good article there, right? Scott Lee's here tonight. Good to have you here, Scott. All right, I'm just looking through the feed here. Yeah, so no burning questions, so we'll just go ahead and get to this next story here. Coinbase domain name reportedly used by scammers in high-profile attacks. Twitter users have been sharing security incidents surrounding the crypto exchange, including claims that scammers are using Coinbase domain name for attacks. I think I've showed you this many, many times. And let me see if I can find this email about okay, yeah. So this is the scam email I got in regards to my Arculus wallet. They sent out this email on July 6th, which was the day that Arculus actually came out with what they're calling a firmware update. And because the Arculus card has no interface to speak of, there's really no way to run firmware updates. So, and we've talked about this in the past, that a wallet that cannot be upgraded is not a very useful wallet. However, the Arculus wallet is not that expensive, and they're offering you a new one for free. But this is a scam email. And, I got this before I heard about the update. And I was like, oh, okay, it's been a while since I've played around with my Arculus card. But what really flew up, piqued my my little radar, my scam radar, was this little sentence here: upgrade must be completed by July 10th. And so, first of all, that's not a very long amount of time. No reasonable company is going to tell you that you have like 5 days to do something. Any wallet or cryptocurrency exchange is going to give you a couple of months at least, anytime there's some, earth-shattering change of their policies, right? They're not just going to spring something on you and tell you have 5 days to get it done. So that was the first alert. And then the next one is old firmware will not be supported anymore. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Seriously? Like, it won't work anymore after this? So I knew that wasn't real. I knew that was a scam. And then I looked at the address it came from. It says Arculus in the front, but what you really need to look at is the domain, the mail domain in the end. So most scams, that you get through email, you can just look to see the domain of the email, and right away you're alerted to the fact that it's a scam, right? So, but this particular, Sil, thank you. I appreciate it. So it's not, but however, it is not impossible for dedicated hackers to spoof email domains, either through some kind of penetration attack on the email servers of the company in question, or they've got some kind of tricks that they can do and route that, like, I don't know what they do, to be honest with you, but I know that it's possible to make it look like an email is coming from a certain email domain. I believe I've had that happen to me with Crypto.com before. I got a scam email and I knew it wasn't from them, but it did say Crypto.com at the end of it. And so in this particular scam with Coinbase, people were getting emails that were from the Coinbase.com email domain, right? But there's a lot of red flags, and the scam. One of the personal stories in here, and we'll go through here in just a sec. He did not fall for it, right? But it seemed like he thought it would be good to, post it because other people might. Coinbase users have been turning to Twitter. I think I said that. The most recent case was disclosed on July 7 by a Twitter user identified as Daniel Mason, who allegedly received text and emails from scammers with links under the domain Coinbase.com. The fraudster contacted Mason using a real phone number, then triggered an email from Coinbase domain, followed by a phishing text message directed to him in a Coinbase subdomain URL before verifying Mason's address, social security, and driver's license number. Now, I'm it's a little confusing, what happened here, because a lot of times you might get a call and they will ask you to confirm things once they've hooked you, right? They'll say, well, there's a problem with your account it has to be disabled unless you can, before we go any further, I need to verify some personal details. Can you verify your phone number and your address and your driver's license number or whatever? And, if the question is posed properly, then basically the victim is giving that information to the scammer, right? When they think they're verifying themselves. So always be very skeptical of any message that comes to you out of the blue from an entity like Coinbase especially. And, first of all, they are more likely than not to contact you through email. They're not just going to call you on the phone. It's hard enough to get a hold of somebody on the phone at Coinbase, and they're not going to be going out of their way to call you. And so this scam looks like a combination of, a phone call and a text message and an email verification. This is the second most legit fraud attack I've ever experienced. Wild story. All right. He goes on. The scammer was well-spoken, right? So, and a native English speaker. So that's, I don't mean to be, disparage people from other countries, but usually that's, if their English is poor or their grammar is poor, in an email, that's a telltale sign, especially if they're pretending to be from an American company like Coinbase. So they're, in an email, they're not going to send you an email that has bad grammar, But this is, someone called him who was speaking perfect English and was a native speaker. The fraudster reportedly said during the phone call that Mason would receive an email from Coinbase. All right. So he called him up. The phone number apparently was from a San Francisco number, so it looked legit. But I would think that if it were from a company like Coinbase, it might say Coinbase on your phone ID. Like if I get a call from the power company, it says, power company on there. But anyway, so he called him up and then he says, okay, we're about to send you an email. So that was the confirmation, right? I'm on the phone with you and you're about to get an email from Coinbase and we need you to go through this process to reactivate your account. An email arrived from help@coinbase.com. Did he create a case on my behalf? Which he might have, right? The attacker may have been trying to penetrate his Coinbase account and triggered a support ticket, right? And the support ticket would have gone to his email. But what we can see here is that obviously the attacker knew his phone number, knew that he had a Coinbase account, knew that possibly knew his email. So if he was, well, he probably knew his email too. So the attacker had a lot of information about him. And then there was another one here. Jacob Canfield received a text message citing an alleged change to his two-factor authentication. Now, here is, we're getting back to the two-factor authentication. So basically, he got a text message saying it's from Coinbase, even though it's not. It's an 818 number, that's an LA number. But he got this says from Coinbase. Just because it says Coinbase : doesn't mean it's from Coinbase. But your two-step verification settings have been changed. So this would immediately make anyone think, oh, someone's trying to, hack my account because they're in there trying to change my two-factor. And if you get a message saying that they've already been changed, so that's cause for alarm, right? Well, apparently what Jacob was immediately log into his Coinbase account independently, changed his password and his two-factor, and logged out. So he knew what to do. And once he was satisfied with, the fact that he had, locked down his account, the person on the phone kept trying to get him to give out the code. Because the person on the phone was probably trying to gain access to the account, and the account was asking for a verification code. And so that email was, of course, going over to Jacob. And they were trying to get Jacob to give out that confirmation code, and he wouldn't do it. But this is... someone that's not very tech savvy might be fooled by something like this. So always be very skeptical about anything, any contact you get concerning crypto, whatever it is. I get text messages on my phone that say that my MetaMask wallet is locked down. And, if I didn't know better, I'd be really nervous about that if I had a lot of assets in my MetaMask wallet. But, the first thing that goes into my head is that MetaMask doesn't know my phone number. So there's no way for them to contact me through phone. It's just a shotgun spam text message, hoping to trick someone that will reply. So be very skeptical for any text messages or emails. Emails are I think the number one attack surface of scammers. My phone won't even ring if it's someone that is not in my contact list. So I think it would be very, very remote that anyone could get through to me by the phone. And being in crypto for all this time, I know better than, for Coinbase or Kraken to call me. It's not going to happen. And I don't like doing anything on a spoken phone call anyway. If someone tries to call me and, can we do blah, blah, blah? I'm like, can't you just send me an email? But there's a lot of people, from maybe my generation or a little bit older, who are very phone based. They always want to get somebody on the phone. They want to conduct all their personalized business over the phone. I try to avoid spoken phone calls, right? So yeah, I mean, you get a phone call from anybody concerning crypto out of the blue, it's probably a scam, right? I mean, if you're calling them, that's a different story. But yeah, so phone calls, texts, emails that have to do with your account. The first thing you do is just log in independently. Don't click links. Don't click text links on your phone. Just go to your computer, log into your account, and make sure everything's fine. And if Coinbase wants you to take some sort of action, when you log in, it'll pop up and go, we need more personal information or whatever. So don't interact with texts, emails, or phone calls, especially. And watch out, for two-factor attacks, right? So in this case, it wasn't a two-factor attack. It was just a faux two-factor alert, which, was cause for alarm, right? They're always going to try and make you think that your account is locked. And scammers and hackers will always tell you, they'll always use fear. They're going to tell you, oh, you're going to lose access. You're going to be locked out of your account. And unless you do something right now, it's always time pressure and fear. So whenever someone talks to you and like the hair tingles on the back of your neck, that should be a red flag. Somebody's trying to scam me. Okay, so yeah, I just want to cover those kind of things. I've got my I got a Bitcoin retro shirt. I've gained a little weight since the first Bitcoin retro shirt I bought, but I kind of like this. It needs to go through the wash a few times to get a little shrunk down. I think it's kind of far down, but I like this Bitcoin logo. It's subtle. So yeah, this I treated myself to a new Bitcoin shirt because the one that I bought back in 2017 or 2018 was was hanging by a thread. I can only wear it at the house, so I got a nice new one. So that's pretty cool. All right. So once again, I want to thank everyone for being here. Let me just read here a little bit about what's going on. Okay, so Ripple made a statement that the profits of the company Ripple won't affect XRP directly, which, yeah, that makes sense. They are two separate entities, but XRP was created by Ripple and is pretty much exclusively used by Ripple for their, they have kind of a money transfer system that involves the XRP cryptocurrency, which seeks to replace the SWIFT system, the Ripple's XRP system being much faster, and avoids a lot of international bank charges. Right. Let's see here. Small amounts, and when you're comfortable, go for the rest. My favorite scam on my phone is when they claim the sheriffs are going to pick me up if I do not send money. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many scams out there. It's really sad that the world we live in now. I get so many pieces of mail that they're supposed to look like a check, right? It's an envelope with a clear window, and inside it it'll say "Pay to the order of Rex Nisley," and they're like, do they really think that I'm stupid enough to think that someone is just sending me checks out of the blue? Um, but you can't help it. You get these pieces of mail, and they're like, oh yeah, it's a great opportunity. Look, you just got a check for $50,000. Well, it's not really a check for $50,000. It's an ad for a high interest loan that they're trying to rope you into, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's just so sad that almost everything is some kind of subterfuge, right? Yeah, so I did want to talk a little bit about the Arculus wallet. I did a video on how you upgrade the Arculus wallet. Let me see here. Yeah, I guess a thumbnail shouldn't really be against a white background. It looks kind of weird. I should find a better background for that. But basically what you need to do for this Arculus wallet is you go to their support page, and you can just say you want to upgrade your card, and they'll give you a promo code. And then you can go and make a purchase of the new upgraded card. Yeah, so, they have this upgrade program. And so this is their solution to having a closed wallet that has no way to have a firmware update. They're just going to upgrade you to their new card. And, the card brand new is only $100. So I don't know exactly how much it costs them to make, but I guess, that's their business model, is that instead of paying people to write code and upgrade firmware, they just create a new wallet, that's an upgraded wallet. And what's nice about the Arculus card is it's very similar to Tangem, but you do write down your seed phrase. When you initialize the card using their app, you will get a seed phrase, and you write it down. And so if you lose this card, then you can restore it with a seed phrase, which is a lot different than the Tangem, which they'll give you 2 backup cards, and there is no seed phrase. They don't give you a seed phrase. And so if you lose all 3 of your Tangem cards, then you've lost your crypto. The Arculus has the features of the Tangem card, but also has the flexibility of having its own backup phrase. So I think it's a pretty cool solution. And so you get this new upgraded card that will support new coins. And, you just go over here to their service portal and say you want to upgrade the card. And then they'll give you a promo code. And you can use that promo code to, and they'll send you an email with the promo code, and then they'll give you a link to their, their site. And then, they've got this new card now. All right. So, pretty cool, pretty flexible card. We wanted to talk tonight about what hardware wallet should I use. I still use my Ledger device, mostly because there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that I have used and stored on this device that are not supported by other devices, right? So at the very least, if you don't trust your Ledger device, then, I've got like, 50 grand worth of Bitcoin, and I don't trust them anymore. So I'll move that somewhere else. Right. And, but all that other crypto that you have on there that that is not supported on a Trezor, maybe it's better to just keep using the ledger device. And I think we had talked a little bit about that the consensus in the crypto community now is to spread your assets across various different types of hardware wallets. Still, the best, most secure way to store your cryptocurrency is some type of hardware device. Now, I did get an email from Coldcard, and they are going to. I got an email that my shipment is on its way. I don't know if they were like on vacation or I was in a queue or whatever, but I got a shipping alert saying that this Coldcard is on its way. So I don't know if I'll have it this week, but I will have it soon, and we'll talk about Coldcard in more detail. Also, someone was nice enough to do a little legwork for me on BitFi, and apparently they got a hold of the BitFi people on their Twitter feed, and I'm supposed to DM them, and they'll send me a BitFi. I did send them an email a couple weeks back, and I checked that email, and they have not replied to it. But I mean, I guess some people are more accessible through Twitter and Telegram and that kind of stuff. I'm kind of an old-fashioned email guy, right? But so I'll try to get my hands on a BitFi. But we have the Ledger wallet, which is a great hardware wallet, been around for many years. A lot of support in the development community. But they've introduced this new backup feature that no one likes. But my contention is that you can continue to use your ledger safely and securely and just don't opt into their backup service. I mean, I know there's so many things wrong with that backup service. I can't even don't get me started. But I still don't think that it negates the security of the ledger device any more than it was before. It has closed source secure chip element, and that's just part of what hardware wallets are. And then of course Trezor, which is another great option. Trezor has been around longer than Ledger. Trezor, I believe, was the first cryptocurrency hardware wallet. The only problem I have with Trezor is that it doesn't have as much industry support as Ledger. So in the Trezor suite, they only support about 10 or 15 coins. Now, if you go onto their site, they're going to tell you they support, hundreds, thousands of coins, but they're mostly talking about like ERC20 tokens. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of ERC20 tokens out there, and you can use a Trezor to manage those, either in Trezor Suite or with MetaMask. So it's flexible in that sense. But there are a lot of mainstream cryptos like Polkadot that are not supported on Trezor. I'm not sure why. Barbara has a question. Let me see here. What happened to that question? Oh, here it is. That's Mr. Miskey talking to Barbara. You need to transfer your US Tether to the trading account, and then you can buy with it. Then after you get the coin you want, transfer to the main account and then transfer to the wallet. Oh, so Barbara is talking about KuCoin. Yeah, KuCoin is kind of funky that way, that they have this separation in the accounts. And you get used to it after a while, but it's a little different than most other cryptocurrency exchanges. Why is this not doing this? Okay. All right. I'm just going to have to do it from over here. Okay. I thought that it used to pop up for me, but it's not for whatever reason. Okay. You know. Okay. No. Oh, I'm in sign up. No wonder. I want log in. There we go. Sorry. I knew something was weird. All right. And I need my two-factor. Let's see here. 104, 807. Whoops. Nope. No, I got this crazy thing first. Okay. That should get me to the two-factor. And there we go. Just enough time to get that in. Yeah, I don't think I have anything in here now, but there are two. Well, actually, there's a margin. I don't use any. The only accounts that I use are the funding account and the trading account. But I guess they have the margin account, the futures account, the trading bond account, bot account. But the funding account is where you withdraw and deposit. Although you can deposit directly into your trading account, but you cannot withdraw directly from your trading account. So if you want to actually swap, trading pairs, then you need to have your assets in the trade area. Let me see if the trading account has anything in there. Nothing really. But for example, and it doesn't cost you anything to move things between the accounts. So like for instance, this Pepe, I can transfer it from the funding account to the trading account for free, right? It's not going to cost me anything. And then once the asset has been transferred into the trading account, then you can go to do your spot trading, right? And then, look it up, Pepe, whatever it is. Yeah. So those are the trading pairs, Pepe, I don't know what Pepe 2 is, but Pepe US Tether. And then from there you can trade. And then after you're done trading, let's just assume that we just traded, we just bought some Pepe with Tether or something like that. And then in order to withdraw the Pepe or the Tether, if we'd have swapped our coin for Tether or whatever, we would have to move it back out over to the funding account. So if we went to the trading account and okay, I just bought this Pepe, I'll have to transfer it over from the trading account to the funding account. There's a little arrow direction, right? So there's Pepe in the trading account, and we can move it back to the funding account. And from the funding account, we can make our withdrawal. So if you were trading for Tether so that you could cash out of your asset, then you would move the Tether over here to the funding account. And from here, you could move it somewhere where you could cash out. I don't think you can cash out from KuCoin. I think that's one of the things that keeps the regulators off their backs. Hey, Pablo La Rosa, thank you. Because you can't withdraw fiat from KuCoin, they kind of fly under the radar of the regulators. Hey, Randy Vieira, thank you for subscribing. Appreciate it. So yeah, if you're curious about that, Barbara. I have no BTC, sold all mine in 2017, not against it. I think it's important to support it since it's a perfect gateway coin to the crypto universe. Yay. A recent true fork of ETH was performed on any ERC20s you might have on ETH is Pulse Chain. Don't talk about Pulse Chain. I don't think that's a legitimate chain. I think that has to do with Richard Hart's whatever hex coin scam. What do you think about VTalk statement? Yeah, I tried to find Vitok Buterin recently said that he is not staking the majority of his ETH. In other words, he only has a small fraction of his total Ethereum holdings staked at the moment. And he said something to the effect of that it's not secure unless you do multi-sig, which is difficult to set up. I'm just going to copy that if I can. Yeah. I was going to cover that story and then ended up not. But yeah, he did. He likes ordinals, right? Okay, and here's someone explaining it. This is old. Okay. Okay, so this is basically the story is that he said that he doesn't stake his Ethereum because setting up multi-sig staking is complicated. Basically, he's saying that your addresses are public when you're staking Ethereum, and he doesn't think it's that secure, which is a surprising statement from the founder of Ethereum to cast doubt on Ethereum staking. What is the small portion of his ETH? The complexities of multi-signature wallets or multi-sig. Multi-sigs are a type of digital signature scheme that requires multiple parties to sign off on a transaction before it can be executed. This added layer of security is crucial in the crypto world, but it's not without its challenges. Boutron explained that staking ETH requires the keys to be public on an online subsystem for safety, and setting up a multi-sig for this purpose can be quite complicated. Boutron's cautious approach to staking stands in stark contrast to that of Charles Hoskinson, the co-founder of Ethereum and founder of Cardano. Hoskinson expressed his surprise on Twitter, stating he was at a loss for words upon learning that Boutron only stakes a small portion of his Ether. He went on to reveal that he stakes all of his Cardano holdings. As far as I know, it is possible to immediately unstake your Ethereum. I don't think there's an unbonding period anymore, but there never has been for Cardano. I'm really surprised that Cardano isn't doing much better than it is. It seems to have lost favor, but as far as a staking coin, Cardano excels. Has no unbonding period. You can stake all of your Cardano that's in your wallet, and if you need to make a withdrawal, you simply withdraw it, and it will immediately unstake, and you can withdraw it. So it's like there's no reason not to stake Cardano. So why? I'm still kind of don't quite understand why Boutron feels like staking the normal way of staking Ethereum without multisig is not safe, right? There's a lot of people, there's, I think, the order of billions of dollars in staked Ethereum out there. Here it is. I had to listen to this a few times. I'm just at a loss for words. All of our ADA is staked. Guess what? That's how it's supposed to be for a properly designed proof-of-stake protocol. Boutron also touched on the topic of eigenlayer protocol during the podcast. This protocol allows Ethereum validators and stakers to restake their assets onto other emerging networks. While it's still in its testnet phase and not expected to launch until Q3, Boutron highlighted that it poses centralization risks. Yeah, so I'm not really sure why he thinks it's not safe to stake your Ethereum without multi-sig, because I think most people are just natively staking it on the Ethereum blockchain. I haven't, because I don't really have that much Ethereum. I haven't done it. It's I should, being the crypto dad, but I haven't. So yeah, I mean, seems kind of odd. I think it's kind of a technical question, and he's a technically oriented person, and maybe a little bit eccentric when it comes to his security, and so maybe more of a stickler than he needs to be. And, this was just something that he said off the top of his head during a podcast. I don't know how much stock we need to put into it. But he is the founder of Ethereum. So it is kind of strange that he said this, that he didn't think it was, that he doesn't stake his ETH because multi-sig is too complicated. The guy that invented Ethereum should be able to figure it out. Anyway, for the days before the world ganged up. Ganged up it. Speaking about staking solo, 32 ETH or Lido is a problem too. Yeah, I really don't know. I know that Lido is kind of a third party that will help you stake your Ethereum, but that was around for people that didn't have 32 ETH to stake. I don't think that native ETH staking requires 32 ETH anymore. I think you can stake any amount of ETH. I should look into this. It's crazy. I don't know. Like if we're in Ledger Live and we go into one of my Ethereum accounts, do they have staking tools in Ledger Live? So, I mean, I think, oh, okay, here's one. Okay. So it looks like you still need 32 ETH. I guess the point is that you're able to unstake it, because for the last couple of years before the new upgrade came out, your Ethereum was basically locked when you did your staking. And so now, people that stake natively can unstake. And I don't know if there's an unbonding period either. Probably because I've never had 32 ETH laying around that I can test this out on. Now, I have done Lido, and Lido is pretty flexible. You can stake just about any amount of Ethereum that you want to. And now I'm assuming you should be able to unstake it. But even before you could unstake Ethereum with Lido, you had a token in return for your stake, which was ST ETH, or what they call staked ETH, and that was tradable. So it was pretty flexible solution. So, but I hadn't heard anything about it not being safe to use. I think it was just some offhand remark from Vitron. Unstake in 1 day. Okay, I staked 10 ETH on Lido without problems. I used Lido Finance and unstake within 1 day. Okay. Yeah. So Miguel just confirmed that there is no unbonding period with Lido now, right? You can stake and unstake your ETH at will. So yeah. And I always thought that it was perfectly safe and secure to do that. Yeah. I think maybe he just made some statement during a podcast and they're probably making more of it. It's not like some kind of official announcement of, in writing or anything like that. It's just something he said during a podcast. People say all kinds of stuff during podcasts. Okay, so we were talking about which hardware wallet should I use? And, my first choice is still a Ledger device, sans their recovery service. And then my second choice is the, what? Oh, I guess I had these open over here. Would be the Trezor. Trezor is a safe and secure way to store your Bitcoin. And these are flexible solutions, right? You really want, especially if you're new to crypto, you don't want a solution that's so complicated and inconvenient that it's just not only is it stressful if it's too complicated, you might even end up losing your crypto because you've done something wrong, or you missed a step, or you screwed up a step, or something like that. So having a crypto hardware wallet that is both secure and easy to use is what you need in a wallet, right? They're reasonably secure. And I know that sounds weird for me to say that, but reasonably secure is good enough for me. Now, call me crazy, but there are other cold storage solutions, and I'm going to talk about Cold Card when I get my Cold Card, and BitFi, I believe. These are super secure solutions, but they're not mainstream solutions, right? If you look at the best-selling wallets out there, they're probably going to be Ledger and Trezor. Let's see if we can get this. 10. Well, this doesn't say best selling. I don't know that I can get any lists by sales, but I would assume that, by sales. Well, they've got Engrave on there. Engrave is a great wallet. I have an Engrave over here. I really like this Engrave. It's a big, a nice touchscreen, but it's very expensive. So, and if you've got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of crypto, price should be no object if you want to secure it. But if you're an average investor with maybe only a couple of thousand in crypto, spending $400 on a hardware wallet might be a little extreme, right? As far as I wish I could, I wish I could get sales figures for the best-selling wallets out there. Maybe they're a little bit difficult to find, but I would venture to say that Ledger and Trezor are at the top of the list for good reason, because they're trusted and they're easy to use and they have a lot of industry support. So, if price is no object, the Engrave is a great wallet to use. Maybe a little more difficult to use than the Ledger or Trezor, but still pretty intuitive, right? Not that difficult. So Engrave is a good solution if you don't mind spending $400. And then we've got the Arculus that we talked about earlier, which is pretty inexpensive for $100. It's got a little I think it's RFDI. I'm not sure what it is. That interfaces with the back of your phone, which is pretty cool. And then the app has, your Face ID, your fingerprint ID, and you've got this. So they talk about 3 factors. I think they're talking about, I'm not sure what their 3 factors are, but I'm pretty sure that it's the card, your face, and, your phone. All 3 of those factors need to come into play. So it's a cool solution. And then in that same vein, we've got the Tangem wallet. Now, Tangem is a really good solution. If you, it's very simple and easy to use. You don't have to mess around with writing down your backup phrase. There is no backup phrase to speak of. You just get more than one card when you buy it, right? You can get a 2-card pack or a 3-card pack. And when you set this wallet up, all of the, all 3 private keys are on these cards, right? You get 1 private key on your go-to card, and then you have 2 backups. And if you lose all 3 of these, then yes, you lose access to the crypto. So it's kind of like a bearer bond in that sense. But because of its ease of use, I give it a high marks as a great hardware wallet solution, right? But it's not quite as flexible, and a little bit of the principle of cryptocurrency is managing your own private key or your own backup phrase. So it's not that flexible in that sense, right? So there's two backup cards, and that's well and good. You put them in a safe place or whatever. But if I had a ledger or a Trezor and I have a backup phrase that's 12 or 24 words, I could make like 50 copies of that, hidden in various places all over the world, so it's much more flexible when you have the ability to manage your own backup phrase. But, you know, uh, this does address one of the problems that people have with crypto hardware wallets is that backup phrase. People don't understand how important it is, and they can get tricked out of it. So the backup phrase is a blessing and a curse in that sense, right? A lot of people have been tricked into revealing their backup phrase either over the phone or through text or DMs on Twitter or Telegram or on some kind of faux software that pretends to be Ledger software or Trezor software or some kind of, um, you know, faux software that at some point will ask you to enter the backup phrase using your keyboard, right? That's a no-no, right? So the Tangent wallet addresses the issue of people mismanaging their private key because you never see it, right? You just have to hope that they can keep track of their 3 cards. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing that since time immemorial, right? People have learned that, they have something that's valuable. They need to make sure they don't lose it, right? Like your wedding ring. I just never take mine off, right? Anyway, so yeah. So I mean, the top ones for me is still Ledger and Trezor. I do like and I didn't pull Engrave up here. I do like the Engrave wallet. Um, yeah, it's a very elegant solution. A little bit pricey, but a very nice, elegant solution. And it supports quite a few cryptos. I'm trying to think where they would have that. And they have great customer service, right? Um, yeah, so I can't find on their website where they list all of the cryptos that they support, but they do support quite a few. And when you get right down to it, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the big two, and if the bulk of your crypto is Bitcoin and Ethereum, or ERC20 tokens, then just about any wallet will do, right? Because almost every wallet supports Bitcoin and Ethereum. There are a lot of wallets out there that only support the EVM chains like Ethereum and Avalanche and Polygon and Binance Smart Chain, and then they don't support Bitcoin, like MetaMask. MetaMask does not support Bitcoin, so you can't store Bitcoin in a MetaMask wallet. But MetaMask isn't a hardware wallet either. It can be used in conjunction with a hardware wallet to keep it, safer and secure. But on the face of it, it's not a hardware wallet. So, we're talking about hardware wallets. So I think, I went over and over the whole the ledger thing last week, and I think I made it clear my stand. There are still a lot of people that still disagree with me and say that the ledger is not safe to use, but I disagree with that. I don't think their backup service is safe to use, but the device itself I think is still fine. Yeah. So let's see here. What would be considered? Okay, I'm sorry. Use AI to get that info of the best-selling hardware wallets. Okay. Well, we could ask ChatGTP. Actually, I think we can do OpenAI. Whoops. 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 Come on, Rex. Let's try this. What are the top best-selling crypto hardware wallets? In list format, I guess, right? Whoops. Oh, I have to hit submit. Here we go. I think this has, let's try, can you give me estimated sales figures for these wallets? Let's try that, huh? Okay, so it doesn't have access to real-time sales data, but it's listed Ledger Nano X as number 1, Trezor Model T is number 2, Ledger Nano S and Ledger Nano S Plus, I guess, is number 3, Trezor 1 is number 4, and KeepKey is number 5. I'm not a big fan of KeepKey, but I do have one. I haven't used it in several years. Someone was asking me about it. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, the top 4 are Ledger and Trezor products. So yeah, that says a lot about, you know, this whole balance between convenience, affordability, and security, right? The truth is in, you know, what people are out there buying and using. So, yeah. Thank you for that, Marco PT. I should have done that earlier. I have one but didn't update the firmware. Ledger still safe. I believe it's still safe, personally, and I updated my firmware a couple weeks back. Haven't had any problems with it. But don't trust me. I still have this interview linked down below here. Ledger recovery, what the hell is happening? And it's an in-depth discussion with Andreas Antonopoulos and Jameson from CASA about self-custody and what the factors of security are with the new Ledger recovery service.
Numbers that are, used with.
It's a great interview. Andreas Antonopoulos is, highly respected expert in the field, and his take on the vulnerability of the firmware update. Even if you decide not to sign up or use the recovery service, his feeling that the firmware update creates a vulnerability only to social engineering, people being tricked into exporting their private key, right? The fact that it's a possibility, he feels, is the vulnerability there is that people can be tricked through social engineering to revealing it, but he doesn't state that he feels there's any inherent backdoor or vulnerability associated with the firmware update simply because it has the ability to export the private key in a very particular circumstance and only through user intervention, right? So that's my point, is I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to sign up for it. So I'm never going to be in a situation where I'll be exporting the public key, the private keys. And even if I did, it would only be if I did it on my device. And so, don't just listen to me, maybe listen to him too. But the social engineering vulnerability is very real. We went over scams earlier, and people are vulnerable to scams, unfortunately. So, he has a good point there. But as far as me personally, I'm not worried about the security of the device or the firmware update because I'm not going to fall for any kind of scam, right? Where someone calls me and tells me, I need to run the recover service. I'm just not going to fall for that crap. But hey, not everyone, has the experience, the world experience in the crypto world as I do, right? A lot of people, fear is a big factor with a lot of people. And there are some very manipulative and mean-spirited people out there that want to take advantage of people's good nature and scare them, into, so that scamming them, right? It's where con men, they're all con men. So anyway, yeah, that's my take on the Ledger situation. Let's see. What would be considered to have two-factor codes that need to be entered within 60 seconds of attempting to trade, log into an account? Generally, when you saw me, if you were here earlier, we logged into my KuCoin account. In order to get logged into my KuCoin account, I needed to enter my two-factor authentication from my Google Authenticator. Now, you can turn that off if you want to. Like when you log in, I think there's a tick box that says, trust this device for 30 days. And if it's your home computer, it's probably okay to do that. The main reason we have two-factor is when someone tries to log into some of your assets remotely on a different device, right? That's not yours. So, the chances of someone breaking into my house and logging onto my computer to get into my KuCoin account are very slim. But the chances of some attacker trying to remotely hack into my account, that's a possibility, but they're not going to be able to do it on a remote device without my phone, right? My phone is my two-factor. So, and it's the same for, I protect lots of accounts. If you'll, I don't want to show you all of my codes or all of the accounts because some of them belong to my family members. But, I've got my crypto.com on two-factor, Coinbase, KuCoin, Binance US, Uphold, Brave Rewards, my Gmail. I have 2 or 3 Gmail accounts, and actually it's your Google account that's being protected by the two-factor. My daughter's Gmail, my son's Gmail, my Ubisoft account, my Amazon account has two-factor. So if someone tries to log into my Amazon account remotely, they'll be forced to, they won't be able to because I have two-factor on that. Paxos, Robinhood, my 1Password, my Microsoft, Bybit, Discord, GitHub. I've just got, if I can enable two-factor, I do. And it's all on this phone. But also, I have backed up these Google codes to another device, right? I have an old phone that's just in a drawer, and it has all my Google codes on there too, in case this phone, when I'm out and about, gets broken or stolen or, lost or whatever. I've got a backup of my codes on my secondary device, right? So that would be two-factor. So if 3 companies stores my recovery phrase and 2 of them go under, Ledger then creates new companies to store the key. According to Ledger, yes. I mean, they say if 1 company goes out of business, that 2 companies will manage your key until they can find a 3rd company for that 3rd shard. But again, I do not plan on using that service. I do not agree with it. I don't think it's good. It makes sense to back up your private keys to external places, right? The private keys should be managed by the user. But if you're interested in their recovery service, then that is the way that it works. But I personally would not use that. Why do you think Ledger will release stacks? I'm really wondering about their stacks product. Someone had mentioned that it would have been great if Ledger had just applied that recovery service to the stacks device only, and that they had left the Ledger Nano X out of the Ledger Recover service, but the stacks is too expensive for mass adoption. I think the stacks is kind of a high-end item for the crypto connoisseur, and I don't know why they can't seem to bring this thing to market. The original delay was something about distributors, suppliers, something of that nature. They may have had to go back to the drawing board at some point. But, what I find distressing about the stacks situation is that they have not had the courtesy to send me an update. They know my email address. I placed my order with them. I prepaid for 2 of them, and they sent me an email in March telling me there was a delay, and I haven't heard anything from them since. So I just really think that that's bad business. And now, with this whole Ledger Recover fiasco, it's obviously that the company decided to focus on something else. Rather than getting the stacks delivered to their paying customers, they decided to take their company in a whole different direction and start this, subscription-based service. So, yeah, I'm pretty upset about this whole stacks situation. And I was really looking forward to it too. I thought that was going to be the next big thing in the crypto world was the Ledger stacks, coming from such, the number one crypto hardware wallet company in the world was releasing this really cool touchscreen device, and it's just, they failed, right? I would call that a failure. I bought my stacks back in November of last year, paid for it, and I still don't have it. And no updates from them either. It might end up being a whole year before I see my stacks. I don't know. But yeah, so let's see. Theory, if Ledger has access to the main key, they won't need the other 2 companies. But I guess in that scenario, they would pass the info to the new companies. But that's me guessing. Yeah, I mean, the cryptographically, the process is that they do split up the private key in what's called a Shamir backup, and then it creates 3 shards, which go to 3 separate companies. If one of those companies were to go out of business, then I guess their shards, they're going to, let's say they've got 10,000 customer shards in their database, and they go out of business. Generally, if a company goes out of business, they get bought by another company and continue on, right? But let's say they just belly up and say we can't do whatever it is we do anymore. What those shards that they have stored would probably be transferred to Ledger, right? And now Ledger has 2 shards, right? Until they can find a third company to offload the 3rd shards. So you can see how fragile this whole scheme is in the first place. All it takes is one company to go out of business, and suddenly now you've got one entity, Ledger, holding 2 of the shards, right? They have access to your private keys at that point, or potential, right? So yeah, the recovery service is just idiotic in my mind. I would say the service is risky. Even if it's cryptographically sound, companies can be compelled to reveal information to law enforcement. And all of these three companies are subject to law enforcement of their countries, the jurisdictions where they reside. The companies are Escrow something in the US, and Coin Cover in the UK, and Ledger in France. They're all members of the Five Eyes, intelligence sharing. They're subject to Interpol, the Federal Reserve. I mean, the banking regulations. They're just, yeah. I don't care how safe and secure your storage method is. If you have access to the shards, the government can demand them. Let's see. Agree 100% on desktop and mobile. Check out Bob Lucas. Okay. Dan threw up a link there. I'm not sure what it's about, if it's about security or if it's about hardware wallets or investing, but I trust Dan. Personally, I don't see any advantage using the recovery service. Yeah, I mean, it's just a backup anyway, but I think the main problem with crypto custody in general is people mismanaging their backup phrase or losing it. I'm sure Ledger has heard every sad story out there, and they're trying to come up with a solution to this problem, but wrong-headed. My feeling is if you think that people are mismanaging their private keys, then you should focus more on crypto education, on how to manage your private keys. I think the CEO of Ledger said it over and over again, when people were criticizing their recovery service. He goes, oh, people just don't understand how hardware wallets work, and we need to focus on education. And I was like, yeah, I agree. But you should have been educating people on how to, properly manage their private keys rather than offering to manage it for them. That was my take. Greetings from Nesbitt, Mississippi. Appreciate my content. Thank you. I appreciate that. One thing is for sure, Ledger has caused a lot of fear. Yeah, that was my first reaction when they came out with this announcement, is that not only, even if this were something that, was viable, they've now muddied the waters again. There's already enough misunderstanding in the crypto world. And then Ledger comes out with this service and muddies the water even further. And so there are people that are just don't understand, enough about crypto to be able to wrap their heads around this in the first place, and now they come out and make it even more confusing, right? So just not a very good thing. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look. I'm trying to remember what I wanted to talk about something in Ledger Live, but I can't remember what I was going to talk about. I logged into my thing. We talked a little bit about, if you have Ethereum in Ledger and in Ledger Live and you click stake, I think it would take you over to Lido, and they have a Lido app built in to Ledger Live. It's a third-party app, but it's hooked into Ledger Live, so you can actually stake your Ethereum through Lido right here in Ledger Live. So if you want to stake your Ethereum, it's very safe and secure and easy to do right within Ledger Live. I'm not sure why Vitrok Buterin thinks it's not safe to stake Ethereum, but yeah, it's pretty simple to do in Ledger Live. Yeah, they should have made a new device that would be custody capable. Yeah. And I still don't see the sense of it, in the fact that Supposedly there are 4 million Ledger devices out there right now. And the way they describe this process of backing up the keys, it occurs on initialization. So when you buy a new device and initialize the device, before they present you with the seed phrase to write down, you can choose to export that original entropy to their servers. So how they would get someone that already has their seed phrase, I don't know. Whoops. Let me just give you this real quick. I always go back to this book. This is by Andreas Antonopoulos. But when a hardware wallet is initialized, this is how it starts. You know, it starts by generating entropy. This is the first step of initializing a wallet. You get this 128-bit entropy. And then it goes through some transformations and gets segmented, and then you know, a lookup table of the 12 words, and then in Ledger's case it's 24. But the 12 words popping out is kind of at the end of the process. But supposedly the Ledger Recover service starts by, at this step 1, then they give you the option of splitting that entropy up into 3 shards and exporting it out to those 3 holding companies or entities or whatever you want to call them. So if I already have my device initialized, I'm not sure how they're going to get a hold of this, because according to their white paper, this happens when you're during the initialization process. So I don't know. I'm assuming that they've figured out a way for existing users to do this. But that would also be really weird if it was only available for people that had just bought a brand new device and or someone that had just, you know, initialized an old device. But most people out there have their seed phrase written down, and I don't know that they would want to sign up and export their keys. Or I don't know if it's even possible. So yeah, there's just a lot of doubt surrounding this whole thing. Apparently they're offering it, so I'm assuming that even someone with an existing device can sign up and use the recovery service. It would seem weird if they couldn't, right? Because there's a lot of Ledger devices out there. And I still can't figure out what I was going to do in Ledger Live to entertain you guys. Let me go ahead and connect the Trezor here real quick, just so you can, so I can give you that comparison. You know, and as I mentioned, or as the OpenAI told us, you know, the best-selling wallets are both Ledger and Trezor. So, but let me go ahead. I've got to get my little pin entered here. All right. So as you can see, Ledger Live supports Cosmos, Solana, Polygon, Stellar, Polkadot, Hedera, Algorand, Cardano. But if we go into the Trezor suite, and just go into the standard wallet here. Okay, let's make this small, move it over so we can kind of see what goes on in Ledger Live. So here are my accounts. I've got Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Cardano. And if I go to add more coins, these are the only coins I've got. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, major coins. So, Ethereum would include all of the ERC20 tokens, which of course there are hundreds, if not thousands of ERC20 tokens. And if you're using your Trezor device in conjunction with your MetaMask, then you can also manage Avalanche, Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain. But these coins, Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, who uses Bitcoin Gold? Dash, Digibyte, these are like, I don't know. You don't hear much about these. Maybe Dogecoin, Namecoin, Vertcoin, that's practically dead. Zcash, they just don't support that many coins. No Cosmos, no Solana, no Stellar, no Polkadot, no Hedra, no Algorand, Phantom they can do through MetaMask, no Tron, no Flare. Well, Flare is an ERC20 token. Near. And then that's not even to mention all of the third-party coins that I have on my ledger that I'm using with, third-party wallets that are not compatible. Like, I don't think you can use a Trezor device with Kepler wallet, which works on the Cosmos. So very, very limited number of coins that the Trezor supports. But we talked earlier that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the big boys, and most people are just want to manage Bitcoin and or Ethereum, and for that, Trezor is more than sufficient. Right? But if you're a crypto enthusiast and you want to get into a lot of exotic coins, then the Ledger device is still your go-to device. Yep. So yeah, that's just a little comparison there. And let's see, we can take a look at some of these other wallets that we're using, with some of these other devices. The Engrave, I haven't used in a while, but it supports Binance, Ethereum, Polygon, and Avalanche natively, right? Litecoin and Bitcoin, right? So that's pretty cool. Let me see, go back. Oh, add account. Sync your app with 0. Oh, okay, yeah. You have to you have to use the 0, the hardware device, to create a new account. So let me see if this thing is. I'm hoping that it's charged. Looks like it's charged up. Yeah, it's booting up. Actually, yeah, I mean, it's booting up now, but you can. I really like this thing because it's so, it has such a nice touchscreen on it, and and someone asked me a week or two ago. I was unlocking my Keystone Pro with my finger, and I had cut my finger, so I had a Band-Aid on there. And somebody goes, "Oh my God, what if you lose your finger?" Well, any wallet that has fingerprint ID can default to the PIN. So even if you lose a finger, I don't know what happens if you lose 10 fingers, You have to ask somebody to punch in the pin for you. Okay, I think this is correct. Yeah. So this is where you would add new coins, on the hardware device. So, whoops. Yeah, and it's kind of weird. You have to like search for it. Oh, they have a browse. Pardon me. Oh, okay. So you have to choose a letter. Okay. So yeah, I mean they support quite a few coins. I think a lot of these coins are probably, either ERC20 or Avalanche or Polygon based. But let's see if they have Solana. Yeah, they do. Right. So they support Solana. So yeah, I mean, this device looks like it supports quite a few coins, and it's got a great touch screen. It's an air gap device, right? So when you sign transactions, you scan QR codes. It's just a bit pricey, right? It's like $400 for this, but a really good solution. But obviously not one of the top selling crypto wallets out there, right? Because of its price point. But a very, very beautiful, nice wallet. Yeah, it's just a wonderful wallet. Yeah, really, really nice and easy to use. And let's see. So yeah, we've got that one, and then let's see. I'm just like going through. Now the Ballet wallet is also another alternative hardware wallet. It's very simple and needs no firmware hardware updates because the keys are right on the card. So another like bearer bond situation where anybody that gains access to this card has the crypto, right? It's very easy for someone to just grab this card and run away with it unless you keep it in a safe place in your house, like a safe or something like that. So it suffers from that vulnerability, but it's very easy, in line with Arculus and Tangem, a very easy to use solution, and they support more than just Bitcoin. Let's see. In case of ledger recovery, can ledger recover passphrase for someone who signs up for ledger recovery? I don't think that they, I believe that with that entropy, that Shamir backup, it is possible to derive the seed phrase from that entropy number, right? So we talked just a minute about this. Where were we? Maybe I went off that page. I must have, right. But we were talking about how the hardware wallet generates the seed phrase, and that the entropy is backed up with ledger recover. So two of the shards put together would be able to recreate the entropy, and from that they could derive the mnemonic code. But I believe the way it works is they don't give you the backup phrase. They simply perform an operation on the device that restores. And this is a backup in case you lose your seed phrase. So if you've lost your seed phrase and you want to get your hardware device recovered, your new hardware device, I would imagine that if you ask them for the seed phrase, they could provide it for you. But it's not clear in their documentation if they would also give you that as well. But it seems reasonable. It would seem to be a reasonable question for a customer to ask. Hey, I lost my seed phrase. Can you restore a device for me? Or at the very least, can you just generate my seed phrase for me so that I can restore to another device? But they may not really like that one either, right? They don't want to just give you the seed phrase and let you go use a different wallet, right? They want to be in control of the process. So yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know if they would or not. I just made it. Yeah, specialized device would have probably been a better solution. Wouldn't have set everyone freaking out over their their go-to device. Man, I'm assuming there were a lot of people out there that the Legend Nano X was their go-to device, and then they suddenly were surrounded by all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt around that device because of this recovery service stuff. Hi, Dad from New Zealand. What's your thoughts on Bitcoin Cash? It had a good pump days ago. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I had heard that Bitcoin Cash was pumping, and we noticed that it's available on, you can manage it on a Trezor. You can also manage it in Ledger Live as well, Bitcoin Cash. It never really took off as Bitcoin. There are a lot of devotees for Bitcoin Cash that will tell you that Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. But the proof is in the pudding, right? How much does one Bitcoin go for? 30 grand. How much does one Bitcoin Cash go for? I don't know, but it's nowhere near 30 grand. So, the market has decided, which Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin. And I'm assuming that they've decided it's Bitcoin. So, yeah, I don't really know why Bitcoin Cash was pumping recently. They may have had some internal improvements. I really don't know. I never held much stock in Bitcoin Cash just because of its price point. It's a fork of the original Bitcoin chain, right? Everything before 2017 is the same chain, right? And it just, the chain split into two. Bitcoin continued on and Bitcoin Cash forked off. But Bitcoin Cash is nowhere near the value of Bitcoin on a coin to coin basis. So I never really followed Bitcoin Cash that much. It's just a cheaper Bitcoin, right? I think somebody's probably, doing a little gambling and they got some money to throw around. So they figured, they could, Bitcoin Cash is a little easier to manipulate since the price is cheaper. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But yeah, I really don't know why Bitcoin Cash was pumping lately. Passphrase, not seed phrase. Did I say passphrase? I hope I didn't get anyone confused. Passphrase is a completely different concept. Seed phrase is the words, like the 12 words or the 24 word. Passphrase would come into play here. After you have the seed phrase, there's like an additional function that it passes through to generate your seed, right? The seed is like where the work gets done. You can add a passphrase to that, and that would make your configuration dependent on your passphrase. Now, if you had your seed phrase or your entropy backed up with Ledger Recover, and then you added a passphrase, then even if the government demanded to see the shards, they'd be useless if you were using a passphrase. But a determined attacker like the NSA or whoever, government entity would be able to crack your passphrase if it wasn't sufficiently long. And if it's sufficiently long, it's going to be too cumbersome and inconvenient for you to use to access your crypto. So, yeah. But yes, if you use a passphrase in addition to your seed phrase, then you'll have a more secure seed. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. It's 8 o'clock. Thanks for being here. I appreciate everyone coming by tonight. I hope you got a good idea of what kind of crypto hardware wallet that you should use. If you haven't done so already, I highly advise you to get a hardware wallet to store your crypto on. And if your crypto is stored on an exchange, then I would highly advise you to keep it stored on your own wallet, much more safe and secure. And take the time and effort to learn how to manage your own crypto. You'll be happy you did. Thanks again, Kenny. Thanks for Dan and JDO being here tonight. I didn't see if JDO said anything, but I'm always glad that he's here and available. And thank you so much for the tips, Asil, and thank you for the new subscribers as well. Yeah, I don't see why my mini feed doesn't show my subscribers. I was able to repeat it. Thank you. I'll see you guys again next week. Don't forget, we do the live stream every Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join me again for the live stream from Michigan, where you can throw out questions, and I'll do my best to get them answered. Hope to see you there. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click. That will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon.